Buongiorno, benvenuti a Medi Wine Bar. Medi's name came from the concept, right? The Mediterranean concept. I know that Medi for Americans is more related to medical, I guess. I remember that we had the discussion with my partner when we came up with the name. Yes, sure. My name is Andrea Giacomoni. I'm the owner of Medi Wine Bar, located in Hell's Kitchen, New York. American dream, I think, is still possible. I don't want to just say that things didn't change. They changed a lot since I came in this country, right? I think when I came in this country was the apex of the what you could do just with your own will and strength in this business, but it's still doable. So I think the American dream is still achievable. It was not a decision not a passion that I had with me, that I knew that I had with me when I was a teenager, right? So I didn't grow up in a family where I had this huge family like most of the Italians have, right? They were the grandmother is cooking with the mother and everybody gathers together around the table. But quite the opposite. But I have a brother which is 10 years older than me, and when I was at the secondary grade in school in Italy, he was already going through college, and one of his best friends in college, the father of his best friend, was a chef. So my brother kind of direct me toward the profession. I did learn, I joined the Culinary Institute. That's what I did. The next step was signing up for the class, right? And back in those days, I remember it was something that it was very, it was a small class, so they wouldn't take more than a certain number of students every year basically. Then I realized when I started the school that a lot of people, they had the passion already because, as I said before, because you run in the family, right? I was coming for a different kind of family, so I felt a bit not intimidated, but I say maybe I don't have the passion that these guys have, right? But soon enough I discovered that the passion was hidden in me, and I was lucky because I always say that when you're 14, 15, and they tell you, okay, now you have to decide what you want to be. Honestly, few people have the luxury or the blessing to nail it, to say that's what is going to be my profession, that's what I'm going to love to do for the rest of my life, because as you well know probably, that you commit to any profession you commit to is going to be hopefully a successful one, and one that will last for the rest of your life. Why did I want to come to America? Honestly, I was not thinking about coming to America. I was looking for an experience abroad. I used to work for this company in Italy that it was a big company that they manage, beside the restaurant, also resorts. And I'm talking about when I was already 29 years old, right? When I came to this country. And I remember this friend of mine got word that I was looking for an experience abroad, and this guy was here already working as a chef in New York City. So he picked up the phone, he called me and he said, hey, I listened that so-and-so, you're looking for, for a summer job in somewhere not in Italy. If you want, I'm here, why don't come and join me? And that's when all started. Basically, I moved here with the idea to stay just for the summer. And then I remember I got in love with the city because me coming from a small city in Italy, for me New York was it blew my mind, right? It was another kind of world. The summer was great, the money were good. And then at the end of the summer, I decided to stay a little longer. Nothing back in Italy, that my family was there, but I didn't have any girlfriend, I didn't have a wife. So I said to myself, okay, let's stay a little longer and see how it goes. And here I am, still. How did I meet my partner? We were working together. We met when I was working as a head chef in Hoboken. in New Jersey, and he came and he took few shifts as a server because he was already in the industry, but he was in the floor. I was in the kitchen. So we met there. I was his boss, let's say. And then we part ways after a few years, but we stay in contact, right? And then when I came to work for the company that I was telling you before, here in New York City, that had one location right here, 2 blocks down, I called him because I needed a manager on the floor for that location. I was working in the other location. So he came, he joined us. He started working for the same company as me. And then, because he was working in Hell's Kitchen, I was working in Midtown on Fifth Avenue, he started getting to know the area around here, and then he proposed to me the idea of why we don't open something in Hell's Kitchen. Hell's Kitchen was already I used to work for a company that had 3 restaurants, and one of the 3, it was in Hell's Kitchen. It was like few blocks down on 9th Avenue. So, and I was working there, and I noticed that this area, Hell's Kitchen, was still exploited like it was like other areas in the kitchenware, right? So they were like, everything was kind of finishing on 53rd, a block down. Just a couple of restaurants, and they were like opportunity, right, to open and places. They were like places for rent, like this one. And they, of course, it was more affordable than other area of the city, like Chelsea or Tribeca or Upper East Side, right? The rents, they were more affordable. So we jumped into the opportunity when we saw this place here, that it was for rent. It was a hardware store, actually. And it had been closed for a couple of years already. So it was like dusty, it was like completely closed. It was not a restaurant. And that was a great challenge that we took, and we succeeded. Did running the restaurant, taking away time for my family? Yes, in the beginning, a lot. But before I opened this place, even when I opened this place, but working, you're not just opening your own restaurant, but if you work in this kind of industry, either on the front of the house or the back of the house, is a dedicated job that you have to be. You want to spend a lot of time, hours in the restaurant. So that definitely, when I met my current wife, we met at the restaurant. She was a server, I was the chef, and then we got together, and we got married, and she got pregnant. Our son, Piero, grew up basically with his mother-in-law. I mean, his grandmother, my mother-in-law, because we didn't have time. We used to leave in the morning at 10 a.m. and come back, after midnight every day, 6 days a week. Me and my wife together, we were working together. So the first 3 or 4 years, we didn't have much time for the family. Then opening the restaurant, it was a second chapter of my life, meaning like I opened the restaurant with the intention that once I would set up a system, I would have time for myself and for my family. And that's what I did. Open the restaurant, spending 7 days a week, 12 hours per day for a few months, I don't remember for how long, in place until I could set up a team in the kitchen that I could trust enough to step out gradually, right? And then having more time for myself and for my family. But in the beginning, definitely. What I miss about that, about the transition between the chef and the owner is that the chef. Because now having 3 restaurants, I became a manager, basically. I manage the kitchens. I delegate a lot. I have my guys in the kitchens. At least I have one main guy in each kitchen that I can trust, and I communicate almost always just with him. And then the rest I just fix things around, right? Scheduling, covering when they moving the different cooks around when they need a day off or they're sick or whatever. Working on them on the menu, yes, a couple of times per year when we change the recipes. Specials, the daily special, they mostly on their own. They know what they're doing and I don't interfere much. But I miss being in the kitchen. I miss that kind of rush, the kind of like interaction with the servers and with the customers as well, right? I miss that. But again, right, I don't think I would be able to do it like I used to, because time has changed. I'm older. It's a tough job, hard job, standing many hours per day. But definitely, I lost that adventure kind of feeling that I had before, when I used to leave the house and step in the kitchen and knew that I had like a big night coming because many reservations, right? I still find pleasure when I can, those nights that I was telling you before, when I plan to do like a wine tasting menu, or let's say New Year's Eve menu, or some Valentine menus that I create. And then I usually come in the morning in the kitchen when I'm by myself, maybe with another guy, and I do all the prep and I set up the dishes. And when the cooks they come, we go through that. We do a meeting. We go through the dish. We show the dish. We try the dish, and then I step out, right? And it brings back memories, let's say. But on a daily basis now, I'm more like a manager than a chef.
Has your opinion of the American dream changed since you first moved here?
Since I moved here?
Yeah.
No, as I told you before, for me, it changed the strategies that you have to follow to achieve it. It's still doable. I didn't change my mind on that. It's much harder, but it's still doable.